Hey guys, I'm Jack from teamproblemsolver.com. In this video, we are going to learn how to build a simple Android app called Motivational Quotes. But before we begin, please ensure that you have Android Studio downloaded and installed in your computer. You can find a link to download Android Studio in the description below. Just in case if you're wondering, my Android Studio is currently running on version 2.0. But do keep in mind that it doesn't really matter which version you're using, because the overall concept of developing an Android app wouldn't change much, if at all. So, what are we going to build? Motivational Quotes is basically a very simple Android app that allows the user to read motivational quotes one after another. And it should look something like this. By looking at these mock-up screens, we can tell that we are going to need a label to display the quote, and another label to display the author of the quote, and also a button that will basically do two things. It is going to show another random quote and also to change the background color simultaneously. How to do that? Well, let's get started. First thing we're going to do is to open up our Android Studio, obviously, and to click on the Start a New Android Studio Project button. Enter the name of your application. I'm going to name it as Motivational Quotes. Enter your company domain, which is usually in the form of yourname.com or yourcompanyname.com. Company domain is basically for Android Studio to generate a package name that will later be used when we upload our app to the Google Play Store. In my case, I'm gonna just put teamproblemsolver.com. Lastly, specify your project location and hit the next button. We will be focusing on font and tablet platform, so just make sure you have checked it. And set the minimum SDK at API 14, Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich. This simply means anything that's lower than API 14 will not be able to run our app. Do take note that although lower API levels can target more devices, which is quite tempting I must admit, but you'll need to trade off some features that are being introduced in a later API level, which may or may not be beneficial depending on what you're trying to build. Android Studio will also tell you that by targeting API 14 and later, your app will run on approximately 94% of the devices that are active on the Google Play Store. Cool, isn't it? If you still need more information, just click on the Help Me Choose link, and from here you can get a rough idea of how many devices are currently running on each API level, and you can also check on the features that have been released in each API level as well. But for now, API 14 is good enough. As you can see, there are quite a number of templates for us to choose from, but we'll just select empty activity template so that we don't need to deal with a whole bunch of unnecessary quotes later on. Click on the next button, just leave the name as it is, and click on the finish button. Now it is going to take some time, so sit back, relax, and let Android Studio to do the work for you. Alright, we have successfully set up our environment. Now let's design our user interface. Simply head over to your layout file, located in the rest folder, layout folder, double click on your activity_me.xml file, and the first thing you're going to do is to remove the hello world text view. Delete. And make sure you have selected relative layout in the component tree, set the ID to relative layout, and change the background color to say double app double 3B5E5. We are doing this so that we can get an idea of how our app is going to look like later on. All good? Alright, cool. Now we are going to need a total of 2 text views and a button. Let's do this step by step. From the palette, simply drag and drop a plain text view to the center of the screen, like so. Next, we are going to set up some of the properties of the text view so that it looks like a mockup screen. So make sure you have selected text view in the component tree, and set the ID to quote text view, set the text size to 25 SP, text size 25 SP, set the text color to white, 3, 4, 5, 6, Set the text style to both bold and italic. And lastly, to set the text to one of the most famous quote from Martin Luther King. I'm gonna just copy and paste from somewhere. There you go. Setting some initial text like what we are doing now is in fact a good practice so that we can get a rough idea of how it will be displayed on the screen later on. Okay, cool. Now let's work on the next view to display the author. Drag and drop another plain text view and make sure it sticks to the right side of the screen, align parent right, and it's placed below the quote text view. Same thing, we're going to set up some of the properties of text view as well. So make sure you have selected the text view that you have created in the component tree and set the ID to author text view. Set the text size to 15. Text size to 15 SP. Text color to white as well. And set the text to Martin Luther King Jr. I'm gonna copy and paste somewhere as well. Text. Alright. Lastly, we are going to need a button. So drag and drop a button. Make sure it's at the bottom center of the screen. Then click on this tiny button right here so that it will set the layout width to match parent. Like this. There you go. As usual, we need to set up the button properties as well. So set the ID to next button. Set background to white. And set the text to next quote. One last thing before we move on. Let's try to compare it with our initial mockup screen, just to make sure everything is alright. Can you spot any difference? If you have noticed, in our mockup screen we don't have an app bar, also known as action bar, which is located at the top of the screen. And we should also apply some margins to our app. Don't worry, it's a quick fix. Let's do it together. To remove the app bar, simply navigate to values, styles, res value styles, and change the parent from theme.appcombat.light.actionbar to theme.appcombat.light.no action bar. As simple as that. Let's try to go back to our layout file. See, it's gone. Now let's try to add some margins to our app. There are lots of ways to do this, but we are going to set the margins on our relative layout. So make sure you're on the text tab, and we can set the margins based on these 4 properties: Android padding bottom, padding left, padding right, padding top. So let's mark it up to 40 dp. But when you double click on it, you'll see add diamond / activity vertical margin, add diamond / activity horizontal margin. What is that supposed to mean? It basically means that the values for padding bottom, padding left, padding right, padding top is being stored at somewhere else. It's being stored at diamond directory. So where's diamond directory? It's in your res directory, values, diamonds. Click on it. Make sure you select the one without W820dp. It basically means it's for larger screen size. We don't need that at the moment. Just go with this, and there you go. Just change the value to 40, and basically we are good to go. Let's see. Activity main, change back to design. There you go. Sweet. Now we can move on to create some classes. First thing first, we need a class to store our code. So right click on your package name, make sure it's not the one with Android test or test. right click, new Java class, and name it as quote. Click OK. Create two private member variables. We're going to need it. Private string mQuote for our quote, private string mAuthor for our author. Then we need to create constructor, getter, and setter method for our quote class. Thanks to Android Studio, there is a shortcut to achieve this. Just click on quote, generate. Let's generate constructor first. Highlight everything, click OK. There you go. Now let's move on to getter and setter method. Quote, generate, getter and setter, highlight everything, and click OK. There you go. Easy, right? Next, we are going to create a class to store a list of different colors for us. And this class should also have a function that will be able to return us a random color. Same thing, right click on your package name, new Java class, enter color picker as the name of the class. Once you're done, click on the OK button. Now we need to create a string array as the private member variable and assign it with a list of desired colors at the same time. I'm gonna copy and paste it like this. Then we need to create a function that will basically return us a random color. Public in get random color. Now the reason why we are returning an int from this function instead of a string is because the function to change the background color is expecting color in value. Don't worry about that for now, you'll see why later on. Okay. We need to first generate a random number that's within the length of mColors array, which is this array. So to do that, we need to initialize our random object first. Random gen equals new random in random number equals to random gen dot next in mColors dot length. That's it. Then we need to parse the random color into a color in value. Let's get the string value of our color first based on the random number. Colors random number. Then we need to parse it into color in value. In equals to color dot parse. Color dot parse color. That's it. As simple as that. All we need to do now is to return color in value. That's it. Now that we have a class that can hold a single quote object, we will now create another class to hold multiple quote objects and also to have a function that will be able to return us a random quote. Again, right click on your package name, new Java class, enter motivation, and click OK. After that, we'll create a quote array as the private member variable. And initialize it with 8 quote objects in the class constructor. I'm gonna just copy and paste. There you go. Alright. Then we need to create a function that will basically return us a random quote, just like what we did for color picker class. Public quote get a random quote random gen equals to new random in random number equals to random gen dot next in mQuotes dot length. Alright, return mQuotes just change this one. And quotes. Oops. Quotes. Alright. Alright. Guess what, guys? We have successfully created all the classes that we need, and now it's time for us to put them to work. Now the first thing we need to do in our main activity class is to declare some view variables and assign it with findViewById method. Let's do this. Private text view name quote text view. Private text view name author text view. Sorry. View. Private button name next button. Private relative layout and relative layout. Now we need to assign it with the findViewById method. And quote text view equals to, we need to cast it into text view since this is a text view. findViewById r.id. This is where you can find all the views that you have created back in layout file just now. So r.id quote text view, sorry, and author text view equals to, since this is a text view as well, we need to cast it view by id r.id author, and next button, same thing, but then this time we need to cast it into a button since it's a button. View by id r.id next button, and relative layout equals to relative layout findViewById r.id relative layout. Alright. How come this? Oh, okay, sorry, some typo here. There we go. What we are doing now is basically to build a bridge connecting the main activity class and the views that we have created in the layout file. Doing so allows us to interact with the views, or more specifically, to be able to set the properties of the views from our main activity class. Do take note that the findViewById method must be placed after setContentView within the onCreate method. This is extremely important, or else you will find strange bugs when you debug your app later on. Next, we are going to instantiate new objects for both of our motivation and color picker class as our private member variables for main activity class. Let's do it right here. Private motivation and motivation. Let's initialize it. New motivation. Alright. And private color picker and color picker equals new color picker. Alright, there we go. Last but not least, we are going to create an on-click listener for our button so that it will change the quote as well as the background color. Let's do that. And next button dot set on click listener. Alright, press enter. New on click listener. Press enter. Alright. Now once user click on this button, we are going to get a random quote first. Quote equals to m motivation dot get a random quote. Then we are going to get the a random color in integer value. Color in integer. Color picker dot get random color. Okay, now all we need to do is to set this value to our text views. M quote text view dot set text quote dot get quote. Alright. M author text view. Oops, sorry. Author text view. Dot set text. Would not get author. Okay. Last one. So background color. Color. Yeah. Alright, that's it. Well guys, that's it for the development phase. Now let's try to debug our app. Let's try to run our app by clicking on the Run App button located at the top of your Android Studio and see how it looks. From here you can actually choose one of your available emulators to start the app. If you haven't set up your emulator, just click on the Create New Emulator button and choose your desired device. In my case, I'll just use Nexus 5 APF23, which I've already created. Click on the OK button. It's going to take some time to, build and compile the file, so be patient. It looks great. Let's see if the button is working fine. Perfect. That's it guys. We have learned how to build a simple Android app in this video. So if you like the video, please hit on the like button, share it to your friends, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Peace.